Ravens flop. Unfortunately, the Baltimore Ravens season, full of promise, opportunity, attrition, and expectation, has fallen short of the goal yet again, as they were able to host their first AFC Championship game in franchise history, but unfortunately fall short to the Kansas City Chiefs 17-10, and their dreams and aspirations of winning not only the AFC, but the Super Bowl for the first time in over a decade come to an abrupt end. God's favorite host, Flex Zone Podcast, giving you that Ravens coverage all throughout the offseason. Stay tuned. We're going to unwrap, talk about, and put a bow on this season. Talk about where do the Baltimore Ravens go from here. A lot of questions for this franchise. Ravens flock, what's going on? God's favorite host here, back here on the Flex Zone Podcast. If you guys can, go ahead and leave us a like, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Welcome. We do Ravens content daily and throughout the off season, breaking it all down for you. And of course, make sure you leave a comment. Sound off. The comment section is yours. We'll be talking about what the Ravens are doing heading into this off season. The Ravens season comes to an abrupt end, 17-10, losing to the reigning defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, the tribal chief, Patrick Mahomes, and the tribal Chiefs defeated the Ravens 17-10. We know how that game played out. We unpacked it last night on the Flex On Podcast. If you guys haven't seen the latest episode, check it out. It's linked down below. Episode 425. But let's look at this. The Ravens have a lot of questions heading into the offseason, as they have in most offseasons. I actually think this offseason, we have the biggest question answer. And thankfully, it is the quarterback position, because as long as you have a quarterback, you have a chance in the NFL. There are plenty of teams who would love to have a Lamar Jackson. And we as Raven fans are spoiled, and it's fortunate, and we're blessed to have a guy like Lamar Jackson, a generational talent. He is going to win his second MVP in 4 years. Speaking of where do we go next, that'll be announced next week at the NFL Honors. We'll see Lamar Jackson win another MVP. Never did I think when they drafted him he would be a multi-time MVP. He's proven that when it comes to regular season and when it comes to those games he suits up for, he is big time. And if you think about Lamar's season, he is the in my opinion, the undisputed MVP. But the Ravens played 18 regular season games. He played 17 out of 18. And the only one he missed was because he sat out due to having everything clinched. And that was the last game against the Steelers. Then he won against Houston, won in the playoffs. Then he lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So for every game this season, he was the best quarterback on the field, except for the most important game, unfortunately, which was the AFC Championship game against the tribal Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Head coach. I know a lot of people calling for John Harbaugh's job. John Harbaugh isn't going anywhere. Now, I do want to pose this question that with the 2024 season, Harbaugh now 1-3 in the AFC Championship games. Only, 2 playoff wins over the last few years? What are we going to do at head coach if this season coming up, 2024, goes kind of like this, where we fall short of expectations? I could see a scenario where, unfortunately, the Ravens take a step back, because teams are only going to get better. Look at your division, look at the conference, which I'll talk about in a second. I do love Harbaugh, but when you're with the team for a certain amount of years, sometimes the message can become stale. But I think just watching those post-game videos and those dancing locker room sessions, this team loves him. They play hard for him. There are a lot of young guys on this team that he can mold and coach the way he wants to. And I think he has a really good staff. But speaking of his staff, we could lose Mike Macdonald. I thought he was as good as gone after the Houston game. Then we saw some of the jobs start to fill up. Now it looks like only the Commanders, who I think that Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, I think that is his job to lose. But there are rumblings and rumors that Mike Macdonald could be the front runner for the Seattle Seahawks job. Now, if that is the case, Seattle's a good franchise. They're ready to win now. Now the question is their quarterback, but they have a pretty good young defense. They have weapons on offense. And the NFC West, I mean, you're going to be going against San Francisco, LA, and Arizona, but they have a competitive team, and the NFC is still pretty weak outside of the top 2 or 3 teams. And then when you look at the potential of him, he's a young guy. We know what the wave is now, hiring young coaches. We could lose him. We're losing Joe Ortiz. This is one of the biggest ones that I really want people to pay attention to, especially Ravens fans. Director of Player Personnel and Scouting, a guy who knows about every player the Ravens draft or attempt to draft, or a guy coming out of college, is heading to the West Coast with the LA Chargers to join John's brother Jim to be their GM. Joe Ortiz, Jim Harbaugh. We're going to have to get rid of that verb charging because I think the Chargers are going to be a team. Speaking of teams that are going to take a step forward, look at the Chargers with Justin Herbert. Look at the Chiefs. They're still not going anywhere. Mahomes is only 27. The Raiders with Antonio Pierce, they're going to be better. What did the Broncos do with Sean Payton? They're going to be better. You look at the Jets, they're going to get Aaron Rodgers back. The Bills with Josh Allen, they're not going anywhere. Tua and the Dolphins aren't going anywhere. The Patriots are going to draft one of probably the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this draft. Houston with CJ Stroud, we saw him up close and personal twice. He's going to get better. Anthony Richardson in his division, if he's healthy, he looked like he has some good upside. Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, we know what he can do. He may take a step forward hopefully this season. Your own division, we know Deshaun Watson's going to be back. With this Pittsburgh duet quarterback, they're going to look to upgrade that position, I'm sure. Do they add a Russell Wilson? Do they add another quarterback maybe through the draft? What are we going to do? Joe Burrow will be back. Can't forget Joe Beasley. Can't forget Joe Cool. Moneybag Joe. He'll be back with the vengeance. You know that. The AFC is not going to get any easier. Things lined up for the Ravens. As I mentioned, it was some luck. It was some attrition. It was a season where we would usually see the Ravens lose guys due to injury. They actually got guys back at the right time. Now, speaking of guys, they're going to lose a lot of guys. They have potential 28 pending free agents. And I'll read them for you real quick at the wide receiver position. And I'll say real quick if I think they're back or not. Odell Beckham Jr. For the right price, maybe. Aguilar gone. Laquan Trevorrow gone. That is Nelson Aguilar, by the way. Running back. All 4 of them. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Melvin Gordon, Dalvin Cook. I could see the entire running back room being remade. And honestly, Keaton Mitchell ain't going to be back no time soon. Maybe towards the end of the season if we're lucky. But the Ravens could address running back in the draft yet again. Offensive line, Kevin Zeitler, John Simpson, Sam Mustapha. I think they're all probably gone. Inside linebacker, Patrick Queen. I think he made himself a lot of money this offseason. Somebody's going to pay him to be what they want from Roquan Smith. Now, is he that guy? We've seen ups and downs from Pat Queen, but I think he's a hell of a player. And I think he does more good than bad mostly, but it's all about the system. Now, could a team like Seattle take Patrick Queen and Mike McDonald as a package deal? That could work. Deshaun Phillips, quarterback Tyler Huntley, Josh Johnson, I think they're all gone. Outside linebackers, defensive ends. Now, this is going to be a weak spot for the Ravens as well. Jadeveon Clowney, I'd love to see him come back on like a 1-year deal. Malik Harrison, Van Noy, I see Van Noy gone. Matabike, he's probably going to make himself a lot of money with the pressures in game. He had a pretty good game on Sunday as well. Brent Urban, he could come back on the team from Lee did. Defensive backs, Arthur Millette, Kevon Seymour, Trayvon Mullen, Ardarius Washington, Geno Stone, who I think is gone, Daryl Worley, Rock Ya-Sin, he can go, and Ronald Dark. I think a team is going to pay Geno Stone to be their starting safety potentially. He's a guy who has good ball skills and can get interceptions, which we saw this year. Now, is he an every down starter? We'll find out. We saw Deshaun Elliott leave, go to Miami. He's done pretty well. Geno Stone could be of that mold. Gone are the days where the Ravens have guys leaving free agency and you never hear from them again, or you may have 1 or 2 guys here and there that really do something. But really, ever since recently when Judon left and you've seen others leave, they start to make impacts on other teams, which goes back to Joe Ortiz, goes back to player development and scouting, goes back to drafting and development. Tyler Ott is also a free agent. So a lot of guys, free agents. But you got to trust in EDC. EDC, the last 2 off seasons, has hit it out of the park. Last offseason, getting the Lamar deal done, we got Lamar secured. We got the weapons around Lamar, drafting Zay Flowers, bringing in Odell. Now, the Ravens are going to need to upgrade that receiver, in my opinion, still. I don't know what Odell does. Like I said, it's 50-50 in my opinion because someone could pay him, but then we could bring him back as well. Bateman, his option is again picked up, so this is a make or break year for him. So really, you're going into the season with who? Zay Flowers and Bateman as your two receivers because do you think you're going to get anything out of Duvernay? Tylen Wallace? No. You're going to have to draft a receiver. Now, do they do it early? They're picking at number 30 in the draft. Do they do it in the middle rounds? They're projected to have 8 draft picks. So they will have plenty of picks to move and groove, style and profile, shake and bake with, do what they do best. Trade back, acquire more picks, move up if need be. They got 8 picks. So they will be able to draft some guys to help bring in some new young players to replace some of the guys that they will lose. Dafe Owe, fifth-year option, probably not getting picked up. What are we getting from David Ajabo? Is he going to be healthy? We're going to have some edge rushers. We're going to have some pass rushers on the outside. Tyus Bowser, what are we doing with him? Is he going to be healthy next year? What is left of him? The offensive line, as I mentioned, Ronnie Stanley, he probably could be a casualty after June 1 because of the money they could save. Morgan Moses as well. You could be looking at what, Tyler Linderbaum as your only remaining starting offensive lineman from last year. You got Voorhees probably coming back from injury. Put him on the right side. Fa'alele, Lele, is he a right tackle with Voorhees as right guard? I don't know. The offensive line is going to need to be reshaped, and we saw against Kansas City that is going to be a priority to keep Lamar upright, and that may be something I'm targeting in round 1 early in the draft as an offensive tackle, especially if there's a guy who falls to you and has the ability to come in and start from day 1. We'll see. We'll see because a lot of guys like that don't just fall to 30 or to the second round unless they're hurt or have some type of character issue. It's usually one of two. It's usually character or injury. Now, with that being said, defensive backs. What are we doing with Marlon Humphrey? What are we doing with, like I said, I mentioned like 8 guys who probably will be gone. Geno Stone. What are we doing with Marcus Williams? The Ravens are going to need another corner. They're going to need to adjust that as well. Those are probably 4 legit areas that you can't replace everything through the draft. You can't replace everything through free agency. Some things are going to have to be in-house, but the Ravens are usually cap stricken. They're usually tough on the cap. They're usually not a lot of money to play with. I don't know what the Ravens are going to do because you need offensive line help. You need offensive tackle help. You need wide receiver help. You need pass rush help. If you lose Matt BK, you do have guys like Travis Jones or Project Washington who can step in. And I'm not going to lie, that would be a big loss. But I do think Eric DeCosta is going to work his magic. I don't think Queen returns, but I could see him maybe franchising Matt BK and possibly working out a long-term deal with him. And then maybe bringing back a guy like a Geno Stone or maybe bringing back I'm not even going to say Patrick Queen is gone 100% because anything happens. Stranger things have happened in the NFL. But I could see a Mike McDonald leaving and a Patrick Queen following with him wherever he goes, if that is a Seattle. They could use him possibly at middle linebacker. I believe they have Bobby Wagner back. He's not getting any younger. Or you could put Wagner with Pat Queen. That could be their version of Roquan and Queen. Bobby Wagner isn't Roquan Smith right now at this point in his career, but he's still a tackling machine. And having a guy like Queen who can blitz, who can bring athleticism and that speed, that could help their defense. So let's see what happens. But I think if they're going to use the franchise tag this year, which they didn't use last year, they used the transitional tag on Lamar. I could see them having a guy like Matt BK, give him that franchise tag, then maybe work out a deal. And you maybe lose Ronnie Stanley, you maybe lose Marcus Williams, you maybe lose Marlon Humphrey, or have them restructured to save money. And then, like I said, you maybe address offensive line through the draft or wide receiver. Now, there could be a good wide receiver that falls to them. Zay Flowers was a home run pick. He's already the best wide receiver we've ever drafted. This team has to stop being front runners, though. When you get ahead or when situations happen, they have to keep their composure. We saw the self-inflicted penalties. We saw the self-inflicted wounds. I just want Harbaugh to take more of an aggressive approach where he really, not in front of the cameras, not on the sidelines, but at halftime, like we saw against Houston, get guys to make adjustments. Get this team to really reel them in. If they are not doing what the game plan entails, if they are not doing well against the blitz, if they're not getting rid of the ball quickly, if they're not running those quick passing concepts, if they're not running the football, Harbaugh, you have to step in and let them know, hey, look, this isn't working out. Gus Bus shouldn't have only 1 carry. Justice Hill shouldn't have only 3 carries. If you know you have the best dual threat quarterback in NFL history potentially, and he's not throwing the ball well and his footwork is off, let's bring in some RPOs. Let's bring in some read option. Let's tell Lamar, hey, look, I'm going to need you to put this team on your back like you did last week. You ran the ball against Houston. It was the difference in this game. You got 100 yards. Don't you think 70, 80+ yards against the Chiefs on Sunday would have helped the Ravens out a lot. They were blitzing so much. Him holding onto the ball was not ideal. But one thing about Lamar, we know he's going to work hard. We know he's a hard worker. We know he's a leader of men. He's got the contract. He's got his money. He's going to be locked in. Zay Flowers is going to be locked in with him. Let's see what they do next year. I think both have room to improve. I know Zay's only going to get better. I think Zay is going to be a potential top 20 receiver, top 15 receiver in this league. Lamar is already a top 3 quarterback, top 5. I mean, if you even for the Lamar haters, the ones who say he's not quarterbacky enough and he doesn't have the gaudy numbers passing wise, he's still a top 3 quarterback. You look at Mahomes, you want to put Lamar up there, you want to put Josh Allen, you want to put Burrow. He's in that mix of top 3 or 4. I mean, let's be real. He wins games, 75% of his games that he starts, and he's a guy who is a leader. Now, I think he's going to continue to improve. I still think there's room to improve in the passing game with his footwork, with his ability to throw the ball downfield. And I think he made some good throws deep down the field later in the season. But like I was always saying, when we saw with Josh Allen and these big arm quarterbacks who make spectacular highlight sports in the top 10 plays, it's not always about hitting home runs. And Patrick Mahomes does a great job of this. Speaking of a baseball reference, his dad was a baseball pitcher. You're not always got to hit a home run. Sometimes you got to hit a single. Sometimes you got to hit a double in the gap. Sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you and make the layups as well. So we'll see where the Ravens go after this. I mean, I want to hear from you, Flex Zone family. We're heading into the offseason. It's going to be a long offseason. We know the NFL offseason is like an eternity. You wait all year for NFL football. You wait pretty much most of the year for NFL football. If your team makes it to January, you really don't see them again until April for OTAs. And then for mini camps and training camp and then preseason. But it's like you wait all year for the season and then it's over and a Thanos snap. And it sucks because this really was our year. Like I mentioned, a lot of things fell into the Ravens' place. They were healthy. Lamar proved he can stay healthy. He had a MVP season. He was the best player pretty much every game except Sunday against Patrick Mahomes. And when you play Superman, they're not telling us to. When you come to the king, you better not miss. And unfortunately, Lamar has work to do. Playoff numbers aren't great. He knows he has to work and improve on that. But I'll throw some guys at you as I get ready to get out of here and I play Red Skies. Let's be glass half full. Think about Peyton Manning. He had this reputation as well. He got the monkey off his back. Not once, but twice. Drew Brees. He got his championship. All it takes is one. And honestly, we'll see what happens with Mahomes. Like I said, he's not going anywhere. The 49ers aren't going anywhere with Brock Purdy. The Lions aren't going anywhere in the NFC. It's never easy to win a Super Bowl. You have to be playing well. You have to have a lot of things go your way, a lot of bounces go your way, a lot of luck. But I do think if there's one thing to hold your hat on to, we did hear that Ed Reed spoke to the team during their exit meeting on yesterday. The 2011 team that lost, which was possibly the greatest loss or worst loss in Ravens history, where they were defeated by the New England Patriots, the Lee Evans ball knocked away in the Cundiff game. The next year, 2012, they came back and won the Super Bowl. Went into New England, beat the Patriots. Went into Denver, beat Denver. Like I said, a lot of luck, a lot of good things went the Ravens' way. Ray's last ride, the Jacoby Jones Hail Mary, dominating the Patriots, withstanding an epic comeback by the 49ers. Football is an ultimate team sport, but like I said, you got 2 things, really 3 things that can help you win. You have the guy in charge, the general manager, Eric Costa. Trust him, EDC. He's pretty much had an A offseason the last 2 offseasons. A minus, A, whatever you want to give him. Let's have trust and faith in EDC. He's got 8 draft picks, and he'll work and maneuver this roster the way he needs to improve it. He redid the receiver room last year. He added weapons. I think he'll continue to do so. Defensively, the Ravens are usually pretty good defensively. If we do lose Mike McDonald, we got Anthony Weaver, who I think is stepping and do a great job as well. So I'm excited to see what could happen there. And offensively, I got to show love to Todd Monken. I know he's taking a lot of slack this week. He did not have his best game, but most of the season, he got better throughout the season. This offense really started to come alive, and you really, really see what he could possibly do with Lamar. Lamar has stability with his offensive coordinator for the first time in a long time. So him and Monk will only get better. Lamar will only get better. They'll only have a better relationship and chemistry. So that will be stable for Lamar heading into this offseason. They need to get more weapons, another receiver, redo the running back room, and improve the offensive line. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a long offseason. The combine will be coming up soon. Free agency. The draft will be here before you know it. OTAs, mini camps, and we'll be talking about it here on the Flex On Podcast. Let me know. Sound off in the comments. Where do the Ravens go heading into the offseason? But like I mentioned, you got the GM, you got the head coach, whether you like Harbaugh or not. He is a good coach. He does need to overcome his demons in the playoffs. But let's see what he can do. Let's give him 2024. Let's see what he really, really, really can do with everything that they've seen happen the last couple of years since 2019 and this season. Like I said, when you got the quarterback, you have a chance. Lamar is as good as any. He's not Mahomes. Mahomes is in the league of his own. We can agree on that. But when you look at other guys, Lamar, Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, like I said, Stroud is coming. Got Richardson, got Lawrence. We got a lot of quarterbacks in the AFC. Aaron Rodgers will be back. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, you got Deshaun Watson coming back. Joe Burrow, what does Pittsburgh do? What do the Patriots do with the third pick? Tua with the Dolphins. There are a lot of good teams in the AFC. The AFC will only get tougher. We know about the Chargers with Herbert. We know about Mahomes. We know about what the Raiders might do. The Broncos. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting all season. We'll be here with you each step of the way on the Flex Zone Podcast. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Hit that bell. Let me know, guys. I've been going on for over 20 minutes. It is the Flex Zone Podcast. Only place giving you that Ravens coverage how you want it when you need it. Throw up your ones, acknowledge the head of the sports podcast table. God's favorite host taking you through the Ravens all season. More content on the channel. We do Ravens. O's are coming up soon. We got Orioles content coming soon. Maryland Terps, NBA, that, and so much more. Check out the Flex On podcast from last night. Hit the subscribe button. Let us know how you feel. We had a therapy episode. We talked about the Ravens loss. We have a Ravens post-game show on the channel as well. It is the Flex On podcast, keeping you in tune with all the sports news. We're getting ready to get out of here. Put the kids to bed. Thank you guys for watching. Ravens off season, tough loss. But Ravens fans, we have to be optimistic. We could have a storybook ending, and they could finish their story like the 2011, 2012 team did. Lost in heartbreaking fashion, came back, won the Super Bowl. Or it could be a situation where Ravens have to retool for a year or two. But we'll see. Time will tell. I'll be optimistic, but I will not have much expectations. You won't hear me come on here predicting Super Bowl. I'll just let it play out. God's favorite host, signing off, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Stay tuned for more Ravens content.